Hello and welcome to Dugout Debrief. I'm your host, Chris DeLuca. This is Boom Broadcasting's one, first, and only baseball-centric podcast, and we are here back once again in this early part of the year. There are a lot of crucial series going on. There are teams off to hot starts. There are teams off to slow starts. And there's a lot to talk about. Today, we have a new Chris hat drop. We have the Gold World Series edition, Los Angeles Dodgers hat, the Gold LA, the World Series logo, and the gold trim on the inside. Sometimes I just decide to spend my adult money, and I did decide to invest in that, despite Michael Davis pretty much every day being like, hey, you need to get a new banner. We will get a new banner. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. We will get there. But for now, we're going to have a shorter episode this week, guys, because while a bunch of things did happen, I kind of want to condense everything here. I don't want to force out content. You know that I never do that. We did have Vlad Jr. sign a major extension. We will be talking about that. The San Francisco Giants are off to a huge start, a really, really hot start. And some teams like the Atlanta Braves are off to a slow start. We will be talking about that. We will have a little bit of college baseball coverage, plus the Colorado Rockies call up their number one prospect. Are they doing something? Who knows? But on Boom Broadcasting, we dropped a reel about this a couple days ago, the day that it dropped. Vlad Jr. signs a 14-year, $500 million extension with the Toronto Blue Jays. And as I said in the reel, wow, that is my initial reaction. To be completely honest with you guys, I thought they're going to be tearing this thing down on the offseason. They didn't really do all that much in the offseason outside of get Andres Jimenez. There weren't a lot of major moves made. I thought they were going to be selling it all. I mean, with Bo Bichette being a free agent at the end of the year, I thought they were going to be trading Vlad while his value was at its highest. I thought they're going to be trading Bo Bichette while his value is at the highest. It still wouldn't surprise me if they deal Chris Bassett at the end of the year, whose contract is about to be up. Kevin Gausman, I think, is someone that they should hang on to. But while we're having this discussion of what the Blue Jays need to do now that they've signed Vlad Jr., they need to be adding pieces around him. Alek Manoah, unfortunately, I don't think he's ever going to play at the level that he did in his rookie year, which is really sad for us WVU guys. But they need to try and lock down Bichette. They need to try and get pieces because next year's free agency class is not super strong. We're not seeing the Otanis, the Sotos on the market, the Alex Bregmans. We're not seeing that. So they absolutely need to go and try and trade for pieces. Who are they going to try and go for? Well, who knows? I mean, I do like the addition of Andres Jimenez at second base. Alejandro Kirk, they also locked down behind the plate. Vlad Jr. at first base. They need to be going for pitching. That is the biggest thing that they need to be going for. And they're going to have to be looking at elite pitchers or good pitchers, at least on teams that are not being very competitive. The issue is right now, with how early it is in the year, it's really hard to judge who's going to be competitive and who's not going to be competitive, as we will be talking about later in the program, guys. So, I mean, look, a lot of people are thinking what's going to happen is they're going to lock Vlad Jr. down and then they're not going to do anything else. Who knows? Toronto could do that. That's not going to be the correct move. That's going to invalidate this move. If you're a team like the New York Mets, the Los Angeles Dodgers, yes, you are spending crazy Ohtani and Juan Soto amounts of money, but you're also putting pieces around it because baseball is not like basketball necessarily. You can have a one-man team and still make a decent playoff run. You absolutely need to be putting people behind them, especially with the pitching rotation. I really think that they should have gone for Walker Buehler. Obviously, the Red Sox snagged him. I think that would have been a really good decision to go for Buehler, but hindsight's 2020. So build around him. It's the only way to make this deal work. I think that they're kind of banking also that Baltimore doesn't re-sign their core, that they don't re-sign Adley, Gunnar, Cedric Mullins. Adley is a free agent in 2028, unrestricted. Henderson, they're a little bit lucky with because he's still under club control. He starts arbitration after this year, so you still got minimally another 3 years of club control with Gunnar Henderson, who's, in my opinion, going to be one of the best shortstops in baseball for the next 10 years minimally. Cedric Mullins is off to a hot start this year, but he's a free agent after this season. So they're kind of banking that Baltimore just kind of does what they usually do and not re-sign their core key guys. But that's not a good strategy to have. They're also banking that the Red Sox don't stay competitive despite putting decent amounts of money into guys like Alex Bregman, Rafael Devers, and Garrett Crochet, as well as Yoshida. They're on the relatively long term. Bregman's on a 3-year deal, I believe. Devers is Red Sox for life. Crochet is on a kind of a longer deal, and so is Yoshida. But they're banking that the Red Sox just don't coagulate well, don't play well together. And that division isn't getting any easier. That's the big thing that we need to highlight here. I do really like that they're spending money on Vlad Jr. I think that the Blue Jays can be competitive, but this is a reference I'm going to kind of steal from Chris Rose on his show, The Rose Rotation, I was listening to a few days ago. And that I kind of feel like this is a Dallas Cowboys situation. And sorry, Michael Davis, sorry, Prez, but it is because you sit here and you wait, and the value is up and up and up because they're getting more into their prime. They're getting better and better. This is exactly what happened with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. If they would have signed them earlier, like a year or so earlier, you would have probably saved a decent amount of money, especially with CeeDee Lamb. But now that you waited until the last possible second when they are about to walk out the door, you ended up paying a lot more. So I think they could have probably saved like $100 million, which is a lot of money, even by today's baseball standards, if they would have just locked him down earlier in his career, because he seems content relatively in Toronto. Obviously he is. He signed for this long. But yeah, do I think he's going to be competitive for these entire 14 years? No, he's not going to be, but that's okay. I mean, you're not expecting anyone to play at an elite level for this long, especially because he's already in year 4 or year 5 right now. They need to make additions. And like I said, the free agency class next year is not strong at all. So they need to be making trades. They need to be trying to snag some guys from teams that are not competing. Maybe try and go for like a Shane McClanahan from Tampa Bay. I don't know if they're really willing to trade within the division. The Twins have a great rotation. If they're not looking really hot at the break, maybe go for a Pablo Lopez kind of guy. I don't think they're willing to give up Joe Ryan, but still, you got to do something. You got to be going for something. And it's going to have to be through trade, because you're not going to get through free agency. That ship has sailed, unfortunately, for Toronto. So yeah, Vlad Jr. signs 14 years, $500 million. Next, the San Francisco Giants are off to a blazing hot start, starting 8-3 so far. And is this another 2021? Well, with how competitive the division is, that's going to be a theme for the show, by the way. It's hard to say. You got the Padres, you got the Diamondbacks, and you got the Dodgers. Matt Chapman, Heliot Ramos, Corey Lee off to positive WAR seasons. They've been very consistent. Matt Chapman, man, is, in my opinion, one of, if not the most consistent corner infielders in the game. I think he's a huge commodity to have. Logan Webb, Jordan Hicks, Robbie Ray are off to really good pitching seasons as well. And they absolutely need to be winning division games when these happen. San Diego, Los Angeles, and Arizona are must-wins regardless of what time of year. They're all must-win series. If it's a 4-game series, you need to be at minimal splitting it if you want to make the playoffs this year, at minimal. I think that they can. I mean, they definitely can be good. I don't think it's a 2021 year where they're going to be winning over 100 games, but I think they could sneak into a wild card. I mean, they were a team that I had as being one of the last non-wild card teams. Them and the Cubs were kind of that close end, maybe wild card, maybe not. So we'll see. Not a bad start at all for the Giants, and hats off to them, because they always find a way to compete. The Giants are going to giant unless it's their City Connect uniforms, which dropped on Tuesday and are absolutely just bleh. There are so few good City Connect uniforms. It's really sad to me, because I'm not a big fan of the simplistic logos and uniforms, unless it's a classic one like the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Red Sox, teams like that. I like fun ones, but so many of these are just so ugly. I mean, it's just ugly. I don't really like the graffiti design. I mean, I do think that the spray paint on the hat brim's kind of cool, but outside of that, I just don't really know. I kind of feel like it was just thrown together at the last second. I like their older ones better with the Golden Gate Bridge on the shoulder. I just thought that was cool, something with the city. But hey, not bad start for the Giants, just City Connect wise. It's a pretty bad start. Next, the Atlanta Braves are off to a slow start, in contrast to their across the country foes, Giants. The Atlanta Braves 2-8. You basically mirror their schedule. No one is particularly terrible. I just don't think they're putting it together right now. I mean, Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, Brian De La Cruz, who I was really big on the past few years down in Miami, all looking pretty good. The big thing that's been killing them is the pitching. I mean, that's what happened to them in Philadelphia on Tuesday night. They just did not look great. Chris Sale had a good start, but then just wheels fell off at the end. So pitching has been rough. Chris Sale has 11 earned runs and 14 and a 2 innings in his 3 starts. And maybe age is showing for the Cy Young winner of 2024. Spencer Schwanbach is their only real bright spot. He has no earned runs in 14 innings, but the rest of the rotation is just really not looking good. I mean, Raul Lopez not looking fantastic. Just not really. They're not looking themselves. And that's what I said last year when they got super injured. I was like, Atlanta, this is just not an Atlanta kind of year. It's just they don't look great. Nobody looks like they're playing at an elite level. They don't look like they're playing together very well. And they're looking like that now, except for the most part, they're healthy. Even though they lost a couple guys, they're mostly healthy. I mean, Albies is there, Olson's there. I don't know, man. It's looking a little bit weird for them. Are they out? Absolutely not. It's way too early to say. They still have big series with the Mets coming up. They still have more series, another 3 series with the Phillies, but it's not looking good so far for Atlanta. They're not looking like themselves at all. So, like I said, we're going to be having a shorter program this week. But the Rockies, the Colorado Rockies, call up their number 1 prospect, Chase Dollander, and they also called up Zach Veen again, too. Chase Dollander was the Rockies' number 1 prospect. The farm system that's not looked exactly fantastic, to say the least, recently. But yeah, his first game against the Las Vegas Athletics, or whatever you want to call them, he had 4 earned runs, 7 hits, and 6 Ks, but he's hitting upper 90s on the corners with breaking balls, and that's pretty good to do, especially in your first career start as a rookie. You love to see it. And it's good to see the Rockies at least trying to stay competitive, trying to make their fans, have something to tune into, something to show up for. He's really not, I don't think, necessarily a game changer for the Rockies, but he can be something. He can be something. And Zach Veen just really, really struggled coming up. That's why he's been bouncing between Albuquerque and Colorado. But what else can be said? But anyway, speaking of the A's here, Jacob Wilson and Tyler Soderstrom are off to great starts. I mean, burning hot starts. Jacob Wilson started up with batting 400 so far in 45 at bats. He has a 0.6 WAR and 2 home runs with 7 RBIs. And that guy hit really well. I mean, he's hitting around 400 in AAA, and now he's hitting in 400 in the MLB, which says a lot. And while it is early in the year, I think that's very impressive to do at this point in his career, part of that really good young A's core. And then Tyler Soderstrom is batting 378 and 45 at-bats with 6 home runs and a 1.1 WAR already for the A's. And by the way, Tyler Soderstrom is tied with Aaron Judge for the most home runs in 2025 so far with 6. Is this going to be something he's going to be able to keep up with the entire year? Probably not, but 6 home runs already is pretty good for a catcher / first baseman. You love to see it for Soderstrom, and I have him in fantasy baseball, by the way. So hopefully he can maintain this consistency. The A's really do have a really good young core with Jacob Wilson, with Tyler Soderstrom, with Lawrence Butler, and hopefully they can put it all together. With that being said, we're moving on to our college baseball rankings here. We're just going to do a little check-in on the rankings. And additionally, we're going to be doing a new segment here. We're adding a new segment to the show that was Drew Code Sports Talk had that idea. Cody from Drew Code Sports Talk had that idea. And Michael Davis had this idea that we're going to be doing power rankings every single week for baseball. Since we got a long season ahead of us, I'll be dropping that here after this. So the top 10 is Arkansas, Texas, LSU, Clemson, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Georgia, Oregon State. Can't forget about them. Florida State and UCLA. That's the new top 10 for college baseball. And we're seeing the usual SEC dominance. We got Arkansas, Texas, LSU, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Georgia. I mean, it's just they're always there. And, Going back to the reasons that I said earlier in the year, the main reason you see this is that, one, these programs put money into it. Two, they can practice year-round. Every single one of those teams can practice year-round except Oregon State. And Oregon State's got the facilities because they're investing in the program with that national title that they do have. WVU is currently 20th at NCBWA and 23rd to the USA Today. They're 27-4, and they got a series in Houston against the Cougars, against the 19-3 Cougars. Then they'll be heading to Huntington, West Virginia, with a rematch with Marshall, who they beat 7-0 earlier this year in Morgantown. But next, we have the power rankings, and I think these power rankings are kind of predictable here. Number 5 was a tie, but I had to pick one. I've decided I'm not going to be doing ties, so I'm going to have to drop them to 6. I did have to drop the Giants to 6, despite their hot start. The San Diego Padres are going to be at number 5 right now, looking really good, looking like a World Series contender as they do every year, just in such a challenging division. With guys like Tatis and Machado, they're looking really good, despite the fact that Dylan Cease got absolutely shelled by the A's a couple nights ago. The Texas Rangers, are they back? Are they not back? We don't know. Corey Seager's not looking really good, but it looks like the pieces around him are making up for it. I think that the Rangers could be back and they could win that division, especially with how Houston has really not been off to a great start as we kind of predicted. Next, the Philadelphia Phillies having a crucial series with the Braves, currently winning that series. Next, we have the New York Yankees. Despite being banged up, they're maintaining their elite status. They're in second place right now. Toronto was off to a hot start, which I probably should have mentioned earlier in the show, and we were talking about Vlad Jr. But the Blue Jays leading the Yankees, but the Yankees still at my number 2 spot. And then number 1, but probably sliding next week due to their terrible performance recently here against the Washington Nationals and the Philadelphia Phillies, Los Angeles Dodgers. Again, this might change. I usually do these power rankings Monday, and then we talk about them here on Thursdays. But the Dodgers might be sliding down. I mean, you might be seeing a new team. You might be seeing Toronto in the top 5 next week. You might be seeing the San Francisco Giants in the top 5 next week. It's really, really hard this time of year. But honestly, I think all these teams are going to stay competitive. The AL East is really, really intense this year. It's always intense, but this year, especially with the Vlad Jr. signing, especially with the Alex Bregman signings, with the Red Sox, all these teams are trying to keep up with the Yankees. They're tired of being beaten up on by the Yankees. That NL West, you're going to see a lot of them, especially with the Giants maybe pulling another 2021, throwing another crazy run together with a bunch of players who aren't elite necessarily outside of Matt Chapman, despite losing Blake Snell. The rotation still looks pretty good. Logan Webb is a certified innings eater. You have the Arizona Diamondbacks, who I think are going to be competitive again. And then, of course, you have the Dodgers, who are going to continue to dodger. Terrible series against the Nationals. Just, Mackenzie Gore went absolutely off against them. He's been fantastic. I've been big on Gore. I will continue to be big on Mackenzie Gore. So those are your top 5. We might see some different ones next week. With that being said, it is time for our series is of the week, because once again, for the second week in a row, there are 2 series of the week. And the first one will be the Giants and the Yankees. I'm looking forward to this one. You have a Yankees banged up rotation. You have a fantastic Giants rotation. And this could be a Giants statement series. I mean, being able to go all the way to the Bronx, going to their former home in New York, their former city home in New York, and being able to take a series against a very, very good Yankees team would be a huge statement win. And we will see Logan Webb here too. We will see Logan Webb probably either Saturday or Sunday. And I think they're going to win whatever start he starts in, because he's going to, 1, eat innings. 2, he's going to keep that ball in the ballpark against a very, very home run hitting Yankees team with Aaron Judge, the currently tied for home runs with Tyler Soderstrom. Next, we have the Blue Jays and the Orioles, another big statement series, because the big thing with this is it's a huge series for the wild card. It's a huge series to be able to finish second or third, the difference between second or third in that division. These division series are very, very important. These are 2 teams that are going to be competing for a wild card. Look, if you're a team like the Blue Jays, the Orioles, you can afford to drop a series at this time of year to a team like the Angels. You can afford to drop a series this time of year to a team like the Twins, but you can't drop it to a division contender. These 3 teams, when they play each other, Red Sox, Orioles, Blue Jays, they're going to be beating up on each other. They absolutely need to win as many of these series as they can. It's the same equivalent for when the Giants and the Padres play. It's the same equivalent for when the Giants and the Dodgers play. Same equivalent for when they all play each other. All these combinations are very important because it's the difference of maybe getting the wild card, or it's a difference of being a higher seed in the wild card if you're off to a good start. So the Blue Jays are off to a hot start. The Orioles are not. This series can turn the standings upside down earlier in the year, and it can also potentially create some separation between Toronto and New York early in the year if they're able to maybe even sweep this series. It could make Baltimore come up from second to last roughly to first place. It's a lot. First place versus the middle so far, but again, it's early in the year. So last week, we had kind of a shorter trivia question. This week, we have a slightly more complicated one. So last week, what college did Bo Jackson attend? Pretty easy, pretty simple. We have the two-sport athlete, the greatest two-sport athlete ever, him and Deion Sanders, but Bo Jackson attended Auburn. He was an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. So this week, who is the best player by WAR? So we're just going by that because it's an easy metric to measure. Who's the best player by WAR from the great state of Pennsylvania, the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania? Them in Kentucky and Massachusetts are Commonwealths because, we're all fancy here. But yeah, who is that? You have 1 week to answer. No Googling, as always, unless you want to be boring and Google it. So we're about to get out of here right about 21 and a half minutes. Make sure to subscribe to Boom Broadcasting, the best up-and-coming sports YouTube channel. We're making reels now. We're making TikToks now once again. I really want to give a hats off to Michael Davis and to Cody from Drew Code Sports Talk for editing this. I want to give hats off to guys like Jason who are pumping out content, to guys like Aaron and Carson doing hoops and helmets. You got Quick Hits with Shannon. I really want to give a quick shout out to Shannon Podcast Smitty from Quick Hits because this guy is covering sports that we don't always necessarily focus on as much. He's had some really good hockey coverage. I personally love hockey. I just don't exactly have the time always to cover it. He's had a fantastic coverage of the women's college basketball tournament, which, we saw UConn win the national title, and he had some great breakdowns of that. And you can't forget about It Stinks with Sean Lucas and other great movies, TV breakdowns. Like I said, we do all kind of entertainment here. And then you can't forget about Out of Pocket. They're on, but just make sure to be watching every single show here. I want to once again thank you for watching Dugout Debrief this week. And I want to apologize about it being a kind of shorter episode this week. We're going to be going back and actually having themed episodes here within the next few weeks once I have a little more time to sit down and write these programs. Once again, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Enjoy this weekend of great baseball series.